Very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. It's another day. Let's be thankful. We're alive, we're breathing, roof over our heads. Folks, I'm George Grant saying thank you very much for joining me for today's edition of Good Day, Grenada. Yes, I'm looking forward to this because guess what? Tuesday morning Buddy is not going to be talking with us remotely this morning as he did last week. He's going to be sitting in that chair right next door. Let's take a look at the rundown, see what we got going on here over the next hour. I'm sure that many of you have heard the news by now that government refers the pension deadlock to the Labor Commissioner. Hey, this thing's dragging on. It's dragging on. We're going to take a look at that. We have the statement that was issued by the Government Information Service yesterday on behalf of the government of Grenada. And in addition to that, we're going to take a look at dangerous driving. Isn't it disgusting? Have you heard the number of accidents we've been having on our roads? Tiny little place like this, pretty soon we ain't going to have any room to facilitate the traffic that we're seeing these days. Anyhow, we're going to take a look at that. The RGPF issued a statement yesterday. We'll share that with you. And of course, we do have the national report coming your way, and then Mr. Ray Roberts will be here with us in person this morning. Ray Roberts at large. Let him loose every Tuesday morning. Now, the PEC refers pension deadlock to Labor Commissioner. That's the headline from the government. Chairman of the government's Pension Engagement Committee, Honorable Oliver Joseph, has referred the deadlock in pension negotiations with trade unions and staff associations representing public officers to Labor Commissioner Cyrus Griffith. The referral is in keeping with the procedures for settling disputes as provided for in Section 45, subsection 2 of the Labor Relations Act, Cap 157A. In a letter to the Labor Commissioner, Mr. Joseph said, and I quote, "There has been little advancement on narrowing the respective positions." Like I told you, both of these parties standing firm on their demands. Both sides have already agreed on the need for a pension plan for public officers. Government is offering a pension of 70% for its employees, which will require government to top up the pension paid by the NIS. What is at issue is the advanced payment of pension or gratuity. The government's latest offer is 8% gratuity with reduced pension for 8 years. Now that's up from 2%. The unions and staff associations have maintained their demand for 25% gratuity, which the government has repeatedly said is not affordable or sustainable. The unions and staff associations have also written to the PEC chairman, informing him that they, and I quote, "do not find it necessary to continue negotiations on behalf of established workers," unquote. Through separate correspondence, also addressed to the PEC chairman, the unions and staff associations said they are open to discussions on matters relating to unestablished public officers. The government of Grenada continues to affirm its commitment to pension restoration and reform for the benefit of all employees. Now, that is the statement that was issued by the government yesterday. Later on today, we hope to hear from the unions. Moving right along, pilgrims, police are investigating a slew of vehicular accidents over the weekend, one of which involved a minor. Emergency crews were called to a two-vehicle collision which resulted in the hospitalization of a 33-year-old St. George resident who sustained injuries to the head and upper part of the body after his vehicle ran off the road into the St. Johns River. Heard about that? An incident which occurred at River Road in St. George about 6:30 p.m. on Sunday evening also left the other driver with minor injuries. At the time of the incident, both vehicles were traveling in the direction of the city. They were coming into St. George. In another incident, also on Sunday, a 4-year-old from Mount Horn in St. Andrew was hospitalized with multiple injuries. The preschooler, who was reported to be doing well, was transported to the Princess Alice Hospital initially, and later on to the General Hospital. Cognizant of the recent spate of road accidents, the Royal Grenada Police Force is appealing to all road users to allow good sense and good judgment to prevail and to watch out for each other so that the nation's road may be used in a safe manner. The RGPF is calling for a change in behavior and attitude by motorists who use the nation's roads irresponsibly, risking the lives of passengers, other road users, and their own lives. The RGPF says that it remains resolute in its enforcement of the laws to ensure road safety, and they're also asking the general public to help make the roads a safer place by adhering to the rules and regulations. You know, I got to say something about this. Sometimes it's kind of hard for me to take these releases from the police about responsible driving seriously. Remember, it's their role to enforce that responsibility. I want to tell you something that happened, I think it was on Saturday. Went downtown to run a few errands. There were two police officers at the crosswalk by Digicel. Digicel is right at the corner of Granby Street and Melville Street. And there's a crosswalk that runs across Melville Street. My friends, I attempted to cross that crosswalk yesterday. And by the way, it was a male and a female officer. If I'm not mistaken, the female officer was wearing a couple of stripes on her shoulder. Waited until traffic was clear. Stepped onto the crosswalk and started walking across. These two officers were standing on the other side, that's on the side of the shopping mall down there. Okay. Just at about midway across the crosswalk, along comes a vehicle, zipping right along, doesn't stop. And I and somebody else just had to come to a screeching halt. And I went like, whoa. And you know what, my friends? That's bad enough. But I'll tell you what really, really bothered me. the two police officers who were standing on the other side of that crosswalk, they were standing on the curb, were totally, and I mean totally, oblivious to what had just happened. They didn't even blink as I and someone else were almost run over. Right in front of their very eyes. This happened about midday on Saturday. And one officer, 2 stripes. So forgive me, but when I hear these releases about responsibility, yes, it's the onus is on the drivers to be responsible, absolutely, okay? But when they violate the law like that, and the cops just bothers me. It bothers me. Folks, let's see here, 12 minutes after the hour. Georgie Porgy is going to take his first little break. We'll come on back with a national report. And after that, Ray is going to join us.
Together with you, our customers, we energize our community.
Together with you, we energize our economy.
We are working together to give our nation a better tomorrow.
With you, we energize our future. Together, we energize our nation.
Thank you for partnering with us
as we energize our Spice Island.
GRENADA, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance and Lumber Department, Caranage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
All right, so here we are. It's now 14 minutes after the hour. Just let me say good morning to you folks out there on Facebook. Good morning, Veronica, and thank you for your blessings, as always. T.F. Richards is also saying hi to the rest of the family. Yeah. Family's kind of slow in showing up this morning, but they'll be there. And Fitzroy Adams is saying, good morning, George. We need a competent government like you. Class always started on time. Thank you, Fitzroy. TF says, George, after being a member of the RGPF for 20-odd years, I can safely say that not everyone in the red stripe is a police officer. See, folks, it's not just me. Everybody knows. Everybody knows what's going on. And if this is what we're getting from our law enforcement, plus the fact that we don't have courts, where the heck are we going? What do you do? Just throw your hands up in the air and resign? Nah. I'm going to keep on trucking, folks. I'm going to keep on trucking, and you do too. You do too. Somewhere, at some point, the message is going to get across. there has to be some change in our mindset. All right, so that's going to take care of that. Let's get to the new look, GIS, and their national report.
Pension Engagement Committee refers pension deadlock to Labour Commissioner. We'll have details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Monday, January 14th, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Chairman of Government's Pension Engagement Committee, Honorable Oliver Joseph, has referred the deadlock in pension negotiations with trade unions and staff associations representing public officers to Labour Commissioner Mr. Cyrus Griffith. The referral is in keeping with the procedures for settling disputes as provided for in Section 45, Subsection 2 of the Labour Relations Act, Cap 157A. In a letter to the Labour Commissioner, Honorable Oliver Joseph said there has been little advancement on narrowing the respective positions. Both sides have already agreed on the need for a pension plan for public officers. Government is offering a pension of 70% for its employees, which will require them to top up the pension paid by the NIS. What is at issue is the advanced payment of pension or gratuity. The government's latest offer is 8% gratuity with reduced pension for 8 years. The unions and staff associations have maintained their demand for 25% gratuity, which the government has repeatedly said is not affordable or sustainable. The unions and staff associations have also written to the Pension Engagement Committee chairman, informing him that they do not find it necessary to continue negotiations on behalf of established workers. Through separate correspondence also addressed to the chairman, the unions and staff associations said they are open to discussions on matters relating to unestablished public officers. The government of Grenada continues to affirm its commitment to pension restoration and reform for the benefit of all employees. An influx of more than 10,000 visitors last week has prompted tourism officials to dialogue for even more ships to call at Port St. George. On Thursday and Friday, Grenada welcomed 7 large cruise ships docked at Burns Point and the Melville Street Cruise Terminal. Friday saw more than 10,000 visitors following the arrival of P&O Britannia, Crown Princess, Norwegian Dawn, and Star Pride cruise lines. This, according to Tourism Minister Clarence Modest Cohen, is remarkable for Grenada's economy and speaks volume to the tourism product that is being offered. The Grenada Tourism Authority has reported that its target for 2018 season was surpassed, recording over 528,000 visitors. Minister Modest Cohen says there is need for more to be done to enhance the island's marketing strategy to ensure the experience is memorable for the visitors.
Our numbers grew dramatically in December, especially for stayover visitors, somewhere around 17%. And from many of our source markets, the numbers are just growing. So it is a good time for us. It is also a wake-up call. It is saying there are a number of logistics that we have to put in place to ensure that our visitors enjoy the country, the destination, and to ensure that it is as hassle-free and as easy as possible. We have great hopes, we have great expectations, and we are certainly not going to sit on our laurels. Our work is cut out for us, and we are all collectively going to work. To do that, we are appreciative of the timely funds that we get from the Ministry of Finance, both for cruises, for airlift and other things, and we're working to ensure that we maximize the opportunities that we're given.
The GTA remains optimistic that its continuous dialogue with international agencies will yield more in 2019 and beyond.
We have been in dialogue since last year and the year before, speaking with the FCCA and all of the executive. And as you know, last year, the president of Carnival did make a visit here, and they have been very impressed. We had meetings last year in November, October, And they have said that the visitors, because they come to your destination because this is what the visitors want, and they are very impressed with what they have seen here in Grenada. I think the time has come for us to start considering and looking at the possibility of a new berth, because we are having larger ships coming in here and we don't want them to go anywhere else. We want them to stay here.
Chairman of the Grenada Tourism Authority, Mrs. Brenda Hood. This is a national report. We'll have more news after the break.
It is here again, it is here again. The Made in Grenada Expo is here again. And I just hope the whole of Grenada ready, because I sung in a clarion call. The Made in Grenada Expo is here again. The Made in Grenada Expo is on February 7th, and the public is encouraged to come out and give full support and buy out all local products on show. Products manufactured right here in Grenada, 100% Grenadian, and it's happening right here at the National Stadium. Are taking in the Independence Parade and the Made in Grenada Expo one time. I am so excited. That's why I'm making a fireside. I bring my tent, my blanket and all kind of thing, and I'm camping right here until everything done on February 7th. The Made in Grenada Expo is here again.
Welcome back. With the anniversary of Grenada's 45th independence just a few weeks away, the National Celebrations Committee is appealing to Grenadians to show their patriotic spirit through participation in planned activities. These include a motorcade on Saturday, the Independence Calypso competition at the Satyrs Bus Terminal on January 26th, and the beautification competition in all parishes. The overall beautification drive began last week, and Chairman of the National Celebrations Committee, Mr. John Williams, is inviting government institutions, business places, schools, and even households to begin outfitting their structures.
I remember some years ago, during the National Colours Day on before, you know, we used to have a lot of colours, the business houses, buses and cars. People were became very patriotic. I don't know what happened. I think there was a discussion with regards to the defacing of the flag, and a lot of people misinterpreted the information that was shared. So there was a reluctance thereafter to do it. But we want to encourage Grenadians this year, this 45 years, we want to do something special, and to encourage drivers of motor vehicles, buses and business houses, decorate your place, be proud, is being patriotic. And something I've often said, our colors, and I mentioned it at the launch, it is the most, or one of the most colorful. If you go anywhere, whether it's the Olympics or any of the major international events, and once the Grenada flag comes out, this is not because of Grenada, it's something spectacular. And I read somewhere, I was speaking somewhere, where it was said that the Grenadian flag was one, I don't want to, third or fourth most colorful of all of the flags, and you can imagine how many flags are around the world. So we want to encourage our folks here to go out, you know, get your stickers, get your flags, especially on the motorcade. You know, we want to make sure we fly the flag because it's very colorful, and let's, you know, be patriotic, put Grenada first, so that people will feel this is something that we can own. It's our celebrations, we have come, we've reached thus far, and I think it's something we're looking forward to. So we're encouraging all of the business houses, you know, put something outside your business, make sure your flags are flown. Bus drivers, friends, neighbors, communities, everyone, get involved. And let us celebrate this wonderful event.
Mr. Williams also invited patrons to be part of the Independence Motorcade on Saturday, January 19th. He says the intention is to create greater awareness about the celebrations. The motorcade will commence from 9 a.m.
So we're going to use the, go through, I can't give you the exact route, but we follow the route, go into town, up to River Road, then we go up to the lane, Maris Hill, the lane, take the Karani James Boulevard, and then we go down to Sugar Mill and go through the St. David's Road, the eastern side, and then we come down on the western side. We have certain stops, St. David's, we stop at Grenville, and I'm made to understand that we're going to be accompanied by some of the Calypsonians. So each area where we go and be, there are going to be some Calypsonians there too.
The theme for Grenada's 45th anniversary is celebrating 45 years, building resilience and enhancing and economic transformation. Finally, more than 1.5 million US dollars is pumped into the local economy through the Budget Marine Spice Isle Billfish Tournament, which celebrates 50 years this year. As many as 48 boats are pre-registered for what is expected to be a massive turnout this year. The tournament runs from January 21st to the 26th. Mr. Richard McIntyre, chairman of the Budget Marine Spice Island Billfish Tournament, says based on an economic impact assessment done a few years ago, the week-long tournament contributes more than $1 million to the economy.
Certainly not less than 1.5 million US. There are a lot of things. The anglers pay 250 US to enter. Right? And it's a lot of anglers. But then we give back because our prizes alone cost us 50,000 EC dollars.
Right. An added attraction is the 50th anniversary Grand Slam with a payout of 500,000 EC dollars to a boat that lands a fish weighing 1,000 pounds or more. The current record is 679 pounds. Committee member Clinton Bailey says the tournament promises much excitement.
What will be different and totally different this year is that the parade of the boats is going to be a lot longer and it's going to be outside of St. George's Harbour. Let's say the stretch of Cherry Hill to possibly Quarantine Station, right, or anywhere there will be filled with boats. It'll be a nice Kodak moment. It will be a sight to behold. I think people all on the ridges there, Mount Morris and all, will be able to enjoy the Bibini start. Bibini start is all the boats line up outside of St. George's and all take off in a westerly direction when the cannon is fired off of the fort.
The committee has also invited the 3 major chocolate companies in Grenada who have agreed to advertise their products for sale during the tournament. That story just ended the national report for today, Monday, January 14th, 2019. Let's recap the top story. Pension Engagement Committee refers pension deadlock to Labour Commissioner. On behalf of everyone who made this newscast possible, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Okie dokie, there you have it, yesterday's edition of the National Report. Now, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, I mentioned that he's going to be here. Remember last week, he had me pretty much wetting my diapers because he was a little bit late getting in here. Well, I'm still keeping my pinkies crossed that he's going to be here, but he did send me a WhatsApp this morning saying, yeah, I'll be in here this morning at about 9:25. It's now 9:28, so he's about 3 minutes late, and we're going to dock some of his salary for that. And his salary is a great big, so he's in the doghouse, okay? I also want to add something to what Mr. Bailey said about the Billfish tournament a little while ago. He was talking about expanding the parade. At the start of every Billfish tournament, early in the morning, starting, I guess about 6:30 or so, the boats parade from the lagoon, the yacht club. They parade out of the little bay there, right around the carronage, and then off to the start line, which is situated just a little bit off Fort George. And let me tell you, it is a spectacular sight. For those of you who have never seen this, please try not to miss it this year. It is outstanding. Actually, last year, we had Beverly Sinclair and Jerry George. They were up on the fort, and so they got pretty much a bird's eye view. That's a good place to watch this parade, by the way. They got pretty much a bird's eye view, and I don't know if they're going to be doing it again this year, but they were ecstatic about what we were able to see. And so try and make it. Now, Something, oh, by the way, he has arrived, okay? He's sitting in the wrong chair, but he has arrived. We'll get to him in just a wee bit. Let me get back here to Facebook for just a wee bit. Margaret, we're in the doghouse this morning. Margaret says a straightforward GM. Good morning. Is the pension deadlocked, or are the talks and negotiations deadlocked? Slapping us this morning. Yes, yes, Mags. It's the pension negotiations that are deadlocked. The pension is not deadlocked. Okay. Yes, Mags. Yes, Mags. You even brought a smile to your buddy's face here. Good old Ray Roberts. Now, there's also a comment from T.F. Richards, who says, and I quote, "It is said that Toyota vehicles sell themselves." Well, in my opinion, it's the same with tourism in Grenada, because basically nothing is being done to enhance our commodity from a government point of view. No improvement. If one had visited years ago and returned now, it's the same or worse. TF, let me tell you something, That's a very common refrain. You hear this every year. I don't know how much it's changed, but back in the years when I worked in the industry, I was exposed to over 250,000 tourists, taking these people on tours down to BBC. And something a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of these people are coming back here on cruise ships for the second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th time, and they will tell you straight to your face, geez, the same t-shirts we got last year. Geez, why don't they package the nutmegs or the various spices? They love our spices. They go gaga over our spices. But the stuff is just not attractive. And after you come through here, 2 or 3 times, you see the same old, you go, and you move along. Yeah, that is a problem. It is a problem, TF. Thanks for drawing that to our attention this morning. Well, Mr. Roberts is in the house, ready to bung away, if you will. Let me take another little break here, and we'll get to him.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Hey, Lynn.
Hey, neighbor.
Here's the bill I asked you to pay for me.
How did you get your electricity bill to be so low?
For one, we size our transformers just for what we need. And we unplug transformers, chargers, and other devices when they're not in use. We also replaced our light bulbs with LEDs.
They burn less energy, right?
Much less. I even replaced the seal on my refrigerator door to keep the cold air in.
And Grenlec is always advising us not to open the fridge too often.
That's right. And my family washes and irons in bulk.
With fuel prices changing all the time, how do you know if it is working?
We pay attention to the usage history table. Over time, our average usage has decreased.
So while Grenada can't control fuel prices, I can conserve energy and save money.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Okay, folks, it's now 25 minutes away from 10 o'clock. T.F. Richards says here on Facebook, he says, exactly, George. I drove taxis for years, and I share the same sentiments you just did. Folks, it's the truth. I mean, there are people in the industry who don't want to hear you say that, but it's a fact of life. It's the absolute truth. It's the same old, same old. I know we're trying, but we have to become a little bit more creative in what we offer. The competition out there nowadays is enormous. People have a lot of places to go. In the Caribbean, yeah, we're holding our own as far as cruise tourism and tourism in general are concerned. But if we don't watch it, I'll tell you something you got to keep your eyes on too. See that international airport that was just opened up in St. Vincent? I think it's called Argyle. That airport's going to hit us hard. The island of St. Vincent per se doesn't really have a lot to offer as far as tourism is concerned, at least yet, okay? However, let me tell you, for those of you who have never been to the Grenadines, instead of going off to New York and London on a vacation, try and go up to the Grenadines sometimes. There's a little area up there called the Tobago Keys, notwithstanding islands like Mustique and Canawan and Union Island and Pity St. Vincent and all these places. The Tobago Keys. These places, these attractions bring a huge number of people, and that's where people are going to be headed to. Look at what's happening in Canawan. Years ago, I went to the little airport in Canawan. This thing could just barely accommodate a Liat flight. Well, the last time I was there a few years ago, I could not believe the transformation that had taken place. They had expanded the runway, and they built this beautiful little terminal. It's like a large shack, a coconut shack. That's what it looks like when you step there. And it is so attractive. So a lot of people fly into places like Canawan in their executive jets, no less. And then they hop on a little boat and right over to the Tobago Keys. Folks, especially if you like snorkeling, there's something up there called, what's it called? Geez, I don't remember. Oh, Horseshoe Reef. It's about 3 miles long, shaped like a horseshoe. Get up there, do some snorkeling. All right? Now, let me see. Here he is. There he is. Good morning, Mr. Roberts.
Good morning to you, George, and to your viewers and listeners, wherever they may be. Certainly hope they're having a wonderful morning.
Well, I'm sure they are. I mean, they've been waiting here for you.
George, thanks for that.
Ray, listen, man, always good to see you. By the way, before I go any further, Margaret says here, I think people are looking for experiences rather than buying a T-shirt. How about a cooking experience with the local spices? Get the local spas to advertise their offerings, etc. Margaret, I hope they're listening to you, Margaret. I hope they are listening to you. Because that's the truth. That's the truth. T-shirts, I'm not saying they're passé, but please, you could buy a T-shirt. You could walk Manhattan and buy a Grenada T-shirt, I'm sure. I'm sure, you know, some entrepreneurial Grenadian has a little booth or a shop or something up there selling T-shirts. Anthony DeRigg says, good morning, George. I expressed concern regarding the, regarding the consumption of alcohol, especially strong rum, among the young people in Grenada. Even the Calypsonians glorify rum drinking. I would like to hear Ray's comments on this topic. Mr. Roberts, you got your work cut out for you, bro. Anthony DeRiggs wants to hear your views on rum drinking, and especially the fact that Calypsonians glorify it.
Well, I guess, Anthony, you certainly know much about Grenada as I do, and Let me put it up front. I am not one of those who glorify rum. In fact, I can't remember taking a drink in a very long time.
Okay.
So
Yesterday? I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
So I will say to you that I wish we had more control, but I think there are laws, but unfortunately they're not being implemented. In fact, we were talking to one of the senior police officers, and we were speaking about areas, particularly in the south, where a vehicle show up in a funeral, a vehicle show up, and you can get whatever you wish, and that contravenes whatever we have on the books.
Did you say funeral?
Yeah, people turn up with everything.
They turn up?
Yeah. In fact, in Granland's area, there, when there's a funeral, there are oftentimes more people out there drinking than in the church. Yeah, honestly. Yeah. It's a huge social. Yeah. But I don't know if the state will want to do anything about it, because things like that, you hear people say, well, the person is making a living. And I think that is the problem. People like me, as I said, most times I'm a bit conservative. I believe there must be some legislation or some form of control over things like that. The Calypsonians are sponsored mainly by the producers or this
alcohol.
Yeah. So really and truly, again, it all boils down to who pays the piper, calls the tune. But I wish there was more control, and I share your concern that too many of our young people, and particularly young women, are engaging in a rum feast much too often.
You know, this thing about drinking at funerals, I attended a funeral this week, and something that really caught my attention is that at the back of the, they provide a little booklet with the hymns and so on. Okay. At the back, it said, the family would appreciate a few moments of, I'm paraphrasing here, I don't remember the exact words, peace after the funeral, because I think it's sort of traditional or conventional, if you will, that after the funeral everybody goes back to the house and, fire up a couple. And the mere fact that that was done sent a message to me that, yeah, people know that it's traditional, and not everybody really appreciates it. It's not that they don't appreciate you attending their funeral. They welcome that, okay? But please, remember, these folks are mourning. They're in mourning at the time. And to have a whole cadre of people show up on your doorstep when you might want to go, shed a final little tear, give me a drink now, man.
Well, I think most funerals, to me now, seem to have a happy hour. In fact, I go kind of often, and the family will announce there is no happy hour. I went to one on Friday too, and the family announced there will be a social, but there will be no alcohol.
Well, they said that.
Right, and some people said, oh, I'm not going. So I think it's a new tradition. When I was younger, I don't know that was a part of Grenadian tradition. I know that the third day or so, maybe they'll have a drink during the praise, but the happy hour, that is a huge cost now. I mean, I've heard people spoken about $3,000-4,000 to prepare for after the funeral. I don't know that was a big thing at least down from where I come from, Granland's area. But it's a big thing now. I mean, there's hardly a funeral where there isn't a happy hour with delicacies and a lot of food. In fact, sometimes there's a replenishment of beers.
Happy hour, happy hour.
It's like a wedding, actually.
I have to confess, I avoid funerals, and that's one of the things I dislike. I respect people's privacy and their right to mourn in peace. There's something else that has kept me away from funerals. You go to a funeral, and the pastor or the priest gets up on the pulpit and talks for 45 minutes. You know, this didn't happen this week, okay? But I remember an occasion where my sister and I went to a funeral in Birch Grove years ago. There's a tiny church out there in Birch Grove, and it's very, very hot.
Okay.
3 o'clock in the afternoon, everybody's just dripping wet. The pastor gets up on the pulpit, and he starts to preach and preach and preach. You look around the congregation and you see people dozing off. And this man will stand on the pulpit, look them right in the eye, and continue preaching and preaching and preaching. Ray, what's that for? What's that all about, Ray?
Well, I think that continues in some respect, depending on the size of the crowd. You know, I've been to a couple where they had to tell the pastor,
shut up.
Not shut up. It is getting dark because it's December, and you know it gets a little darker earlier. And I remember one in particular in St. Andrew where they had to rush because, you know, the tributes were plentiful, and the preacher had a word for everybody, those of us who are sinners, I assume. And when about 5, they had to tell him, look, it's getting dark. So they had to move because, you know, it's down to, it's in the tongue, and then you move to, a mile or 2 away. So that's interesting. And that continues. I don't think that will change because when they see a lot of people who are supposedly not Christians, then you have a message, a pretty long message for them.
Ray, there are people out there who are listening to you right now, and I want to share their stuff with you. T.F. Richard says, morning, Brother Ray. It's Theo. Do you know somebody named Theo?
Yeah, I know that name very well.
Well, Theo says he's Finbar's brother. Who's Finbar?
I know Finbar. I can't tell you who is he. I can show you who is Finbar.
He says retirement is doing you good. You're looking proper.
I don't know about retirement. I know that I don't want a job, that's for sure. But believe it or not, I think I'm a little too busy. When I'm through with you, we have a couple seminars next week, Paralympics and one on global something, I can't remember, but they're going to be at Public Workers next week, and we have some people coming from abroad to facilitate the program. So I'm sort of coordinating. I'm not being paid though, but as I said, I'm pretty active actually.
Yes, TF.
I didn't go to the beach this morning because I wanted to facilitate a number of things.
I can tell you, TF, he may be technically, officially retired, but in reality,
no.
I'm
going until the last day.
Me too.
That's correct. I have no plans. But I must tell TF that I don't want a job.
Theo, he doesn't.
No, I don't want a job.
He doesn't want a job.
I mean, that's serious. I've seen too many people carry on way beyond it is necessary.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's a huge stroke. It's a huge something, and the money is just paid to doctors.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'm not.
It's not worth it, is it?
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Margaret Francis is responding to something that Anthony said a little while ago. Anthony said he was concerned about the consumption of alcohol. Margaret says, I agree with you, Anthony. However, I think that kind of drinking is symptomatic. That kind of drinking is symptomatic of deeper underlying problems in society.
Well, it's a sort of fashionable thing too, eh? You know, there's talk about it's a new world, it's a different world. So, you know, I was reading one of the cricketers' story, Peter Handscock, involving this ball tampering in South Africa. He said that Dave Warner tell him to do it. And he thought it was not the right thing, but he wanted to be in the culture. And he is banned for 9 months. The ban was, or the suspension was concluded a couple of weeks ago. And Warner and Smith, they continue until March. So I think a lot of these things, it is joining the crowd. I have seen so many of it, particularly on the rum on a cruise. Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no. I mean, there are people who are, I would think, their faculty and their behavior is normal, but it's to sit in the conversation and to hear I drank a case of beer. I mean, that's a regular thing now. Drank a case of beer. Three of us beat a bottle of scotch, a bottle of what's the one in St. Andrew, River and Twine. You know. So there's another one called Woodman. You listen, you know. And I promised to take a drink of Woodman a day in the case.
Somebody in New York asked me to buy a bottle of Woodman for them, and I haven't been able to find that.
I can tell you, my friend, brother makes it, and it's a popular thing.
He makes it?
Well, he is the, what do you call it? He has the company
maker
that make it, whatever it is.
Okay.
Right. He lived in the States for a few years. All
right.
I can give you his number and you can call.
Well, I'm not interested in Woodman. Anyhow, T.F. Richard says, George, my mom died about 4 years ago, and her wish was no happy hour. This I announced at the end of the service, and the only reason the bad words weren't vocal was because we were in the church. He almost got cussed, I guess, for saying no happy hour.
Yeah. Now, people could turn up parades. I mean, let me put it this way. I have friends, buses travel now, so a bus can have a trip to St. Patrick or St. Andrew. And daily that's occurring. Every day there's funeral. Buses leaving, you know one person, and then you say, well, look, we go in, some people don't even know the person who's being buried or whatever.
They just go for the happy hour.
Well, it's a good social. In fact, I must tell you, I participated in one not too long ago reluctantly, because when I got there, I knew the people, and I could not say no. I had to engage in as much as possible, because I couldn't just leave and go.
Margaret says, that's right, Ray. There was no happy hour, and nobody didn't show up selling alcohol by the cemetery either.
Well, that's true. I am amazed how big this thing is. I mean, the guy who does it, he's my friend, and I mean, I assume he's doing very well. I'm not assuming. I believe he's doing very well. Strongly believe that. Now, it's popular because you can see there are people who don't go in the church, but they find an opportunity to engage people they haven't seen for a while. And one beer turn into two. I make one, you make a wrong, another person make a wrong. So it goes on until 6 o'clock, thereabouts.
Anthony says, these days, if you can't afford a happy hour, postpone your death. He says some people head directly to the happy hour.
Well, I'll tell you what, too. You are sometimes asked to bring something. You know, if you know the family, you bring something. Because you know what it's going to be for. So you put a case of beer in the back of your car and you bring it to the home or the family or something or the other.
BYOB, bring your own booze.
Well, I am not a drinker, but, you, as a means of solidarity or sympathy, whatever you wish to call it, you know that there's going to be something at the end of the funeral. We're going to be talking about George's Sunday program or Ray's table tennis or Margaret's beating of George when he makes a mistake. And, when Eddie Ricks comes to St. George's and Grandin's Beach, picks up all the grapes on the beach. Yeah, so they can, lots to talk about.
Veronica, I'm trying to make something out of this. Veronica says, repast in New York, happy hour in Grenada, alcohol. Everywhere, children, birthday party, alcohol. Too much now.
Well, again, as I said, I am still a traditionalist in many respects. And I guess some people see it as a new world, therefore new things, what was not, perhaps what was applicable in our time, or even 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. It's a new, I don't know. I don't support things like that. I believe children's birthday party must certainly be children's birthday party. I usually say to people, when my boy was 3, 4, 5 years, he never saw me take a drink. I would not take a drink in front of him, actually.
Yeah.
No. I said it is bad.
Okay.
That's right. Smoking is bad. I say all these things. Well, I guess, he's mature now, so he makes a decision. But I believe in some of the traditions that I grew up with.
Okay. Ray, listen, believe it or not, it's 5 minutes to 10 o'clock.
Right.
Now, I am sure you didn't come here this morning to talk about happy hour. But
well, it is a good change.
What you got up your sleeve this morning?
Well, there are just a couple of things I thought Margaret's correction was most appropriate, and I would hope the topical pension debate gets to the court very quickly, because I'm sure the unions will win. But more important, I would say to the state and to those who are leading us, it's time to think about repackaging the whole 1958 legislation, not just conveniently altering the gratuity, but think about perhaps keeping what we have, but greater contributions towards making the pie bigger, so as we go from generation to generation, it can support those who are exiting the job or retiring. That's what I would say. And finally, I want to encourage those of us who are here in Grenada. There's a cricket match in the park this weekend. Jamaica Scorpions versus the Winard Islands Volcanoes. I hope we can find some time, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and lend some support to that activity.
A couple of weeks ago, we had the coach of the Volcanoes in here. Yeah.
Right. Well,
Coley,
they're back
I
here
think
now.
his name is?
Coley.
Coley, yeah.
Right.
So he's back.
He's back.
obviously.
I think they're coming tomorrow.
Okay.
They are coming
and,
tomorrow.
And this match is going to be on Saturday?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday at the stadium.
Friday, Saturday, 4 days of cricket?
4-day cricket match.
Okay.
Right.
Ah,
That's the usual, the annual Cricket West Indies, that's how they call themselves now. Professional league tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
So then you have in February, England.
That's right.
Right. England, they are here in the Caribbean, in fact, already. They are in Barbados, warming up for the test series against the West Indies.
Very briefly, just getting back to this union issue, well, you saw the statement that was issued by the government yesterday. And I'm still to hear I want to hear directly from the unions where they stand on this. But you see this going into the courtroom?
Well, let's put it this way. I mean, the government is just playing politics and music to the ears of those who don't perhaps take time to read or to follow things. There's no way that thing going to end like that. You were at one stage a baby, an adult having good times, and you know where you are now. We find aches and pains, and we find costs that our pension or income cannot afford. So any good thinking government, a government who cares about people, certainly can't go along that route. So I don't think political lines or party lines will play. I think clearly the workers are not going to back down on this. And I sad to say, I think the consequences at this stage, we may have no intercall. In fact, we had no basketball, no tennis, no netball. The teachers are not lending any extra time for these activities.
Speaking about, you talked about intercall. Something we've had over the past couple of years is the Grenada Invitational.
Right.
Status of that?
Well, there's a group of people working on that. I assume it will be staged. I'm told that some big sponsors liked what they saw over there, so they continue to offer some financial support, and good athletes are again willing to come here.
They are.
Yeah, that's what I'm told.
Okay.
I mean, maybe one of these days you could interview the chairperson.
Yeah.
Is it Venus, the bar on Wall Street?
Yeah, down at Grants.
Right. The chairperson, I think,
Yeah.
it manages or owns that place. Right.
Thank you very much, Ray, Mr. Happy Hour. Oh boy, the things you learn on this program, the things you learn.
Right.
And thank you to all those of you out there, Anthony and Margaret and TF and Veronica and whomever, Fitzroy. Folks, let me take another quick little break here, and we're going to come back in just a wee bit. wrap it up. Don't go away. Don't go away. You got to hear your inspirational after this. Hello. 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 There we are. Yeah. Okay, folks. Cold coffee. Air conditioning is really working well this morning. Cold coffee. Just before we pull the curtain down, some inspirational words for you. Today's reading comes from the book of Romans, Romans chapter 8, verses 26, 27, and 28. In the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit Himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. And He who searches our hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Romans chapter 8, 26, 27, 28. Folks, Facebook, gone quiet. That's going to do it for the Tuesday edition of Gudday Grenada. I thank you all so much for coming. Spread the word about us, and by God's grace, we will see you again tomorrow morning. Ciao.